What's going on, YouTube world and YouTube tribe? Welcome to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you a review for Mortal Kombat 2021 movie. First things first, if you can hit that like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification. But also let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Mortal Kombat. Was it high? Was your expectations high? Did it meet that expectation? Was it low? Was the movie? Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? What were the things you did not like? Do you agree with my dis and dislikes? Let me know in the comments down below. For those who are not subscribed, when you're waiting for it, become part of the tribe. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing, so you get notified about movie reviews like these. And yeah, I got a surprise coming for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Those who are subscribed, thank you, love you, appreciate you. Just continue to do what you do and watch, like, and share. And yeah, if you just continue to do all that, you'll get to know. If you just continue to watch, you will see what that surprise is. With all that being said, we still gotta go 1,200. We're getting close, so let's get into it. We all know how the movie sets up. We all know that. We all seen those from IGN, HBO Max, and different outlets that we see the first 7 minutes. So right down the bat, this is not a spoiler review, but right down the bat, you already know what the setup is. Because even if you didn't watch it, you still know that the first 7 minutes starts with Hanjo Asachi and them. So yes, that is the first, maybe not actually 7 minutes, but it's the first that I would say that whole scene, the whole before we switch to the present, is I want to say it's about maybe 10 to 12 minutes. That's probably the full length of that opening scene. Like I said, not spoiler, but I'm gonna talk about the things I don't like and do like. We're gonna start with the good. The things I like about it was, first thing first, we're gonna get this out the way. The fatalities. The fatalities are gorgeous when you see them. The callbacks to Mortal Kombat 2, like I want to say as a whole, when we see fatalities, the games you could if you want to know where the fatalities lie, and which game do they pull from, Mortal Kombat 2, and I'm trying to remember all the fatalities, Mortal Kombat 2, and Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 9. I want to say we stay in that area too for other characters. Yeah, but Mortal Kombat 2 for the majority of them, and Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and any other Mortal Kombat for a certain ninja, if you know what I mean. He's the only ninja who kept his fiery breath, as you would say. His fatality is pretty much every Mortal Kombat. But yeah, fatality for Mortal Kombat ranges from 1 to, there's no Mortal Kombat 4 fatality or Deadly Alliance fatality, even Armageddon. But we do, once it gets to 2, we go from 2 to 9. We go from 2 to 9. But yeah, the fatalities are awesome. That's a positive. The pacing of the movie. The pacing, and by pacing I mean the storytelling, the fleshing out the characters. And for those who, if I didn't mention, the story of the movie is virtually the same as the 1995 movie. Pretty much is evolving around the tournament. It evolves around the fact that I want to mention, if I say double edge, that means double. If I say, I talk about something, even when I talk about the good, and I say double edge, that just means that it's a good and a bad. And the pace in the story is a double edge. This is the first double edge, is because there's good things about this pacing in the story, and there's bad things about it. So that's why I say double edge. because the pacing of the story and everything, the fleshing out the characters, and make you okay with the characters. You feel like, okay, we know enough to be like, okay, this wasn't a rushed character. This wasn't rushed here. It wasn't rushed there. But it's also double edged because certain things were rushed about certain characters, and I will get into that when I talk about the bad. But in overall goodness of the pacing, yes, there were good enough pacing with the storytelling. And in particular, Cole Young, the pacing with him was good enough to make me be like, okay, he was a negative, and I did not feel like he was overbearing, feel like it was too much about him. But him and himself is a double edge, because then if there's certain thing, it made the movie, they put themselves in a certain corner with him, and I was hoping they wouldn't do it, but going into the movie, I figured they would, and then when we get here, I'm like, okay, they kind of did go that direction. But yeah, that was my, that was like I said, that's like my positive. That's a double edge. The pacing of the movie is a double edge, and Cole Young himself is a positive and a double edge, because then it's also a negative. What else was a positive? The powers. The powers were, that's also a double edge. The powers was okay, visually stunning. When it calls for CGI, it wasn't overbearing with CGI, so that's a positive. And then we get but the powers in itself, the CGI was great. There's no double edge with the CGI, but there is a double edge with the powers. And the good part, like I said, we're talking about the good. The goods is that the powers look visually stunning. That they accurate with the characters. Everybody in the movie does have their accurate powers for the most part. But at the same time, it's a double edge because certain characters didn't get their power till way late in the movie, and because of that, it felt rushed. That's why it's a double edge. But everybody had their accurate powers. We get to see everything. So as I said, pacing, powers, fatality. What else was positive? Character development, and that has to go with pacing. But I love the development of the characters. I love that for the majority of the characters that you want to see get fleshed out, we do. Certain characters, it's actually a double edge with certain characters. That's why I want to say a double edge with just character development, but because it's only certain characters that's like that. And then there's just certain characters that doesn't get used right. So that goes with certain characters. But overall, character development was good. So now, what else do we talked about? We talked about character development, story pacing, fatalities, and the powers. There's one more positive. I just cannot think of it. There's one more positive. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember throughout the whole movie. Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero he is my boy. If you want to know one thing about me, Liu Kang might be one of my favorites, and he might be the favorite. Yeah, Liu Kang is my favorite character. Now, granted, if you play me Mortal Kombat, you're going to be like, damn, you don't even play with Liu Kang, though. Now, he's my favorite character. But my favorite character to play with is Sub-Zero and then Scorpion. Sub-Zero in this movie and double edge, because what I'm about to say is Sub-Zero was the most important character in this movie. And maybe, like the director said, he is the main villain of this movie. But behind Sub-Zero being the main villain of this movie is a double edge, because then a certain true person who should be the main villain and who we know is the main villain of the first game is more like a side character. But behind for his part and being the monstrous fighter he is, in this movie is a positive. That's the positive. I love how they treated Behan in this movie, and he was because that's what makes it better than 1995. Behan in 1995 was just a henchman to the same song, whereas this man in this movie, he outshined same song. But now that we got the positive out the way, now here comes the negative. Unfortunately, I wanted this movie not to. If anything, I was hoping this movie only give me one negative. And if it only would have gave me one negative, I still would have gave it a perfect score. But it had more than one negative. So, yeah, so now we're going to get into the negatives. The negatives, let's see, what do I want to start? The first negative I'll start off with is that a certain character, I'm 31 years old. So, that I was born in 1990. Sorry, I had to show my age. But yes, I am old. I was born in 1990, which means I got to see the 1995 Mortal Kombat. And then the 1997 or 8 Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I can't remember when Annihilation came out, but it was around 97, 98. About 2 or 3 years later after the first Mortal Kombat. So I got to see both of those. So, and I don't like to compare. I didn't want to compare this to that movie because it couldn't. Because 1995 was a special Mortal Kombat. That movie in 1995 was special. This movie is special. So, if I were to say one thing, let me get this out the way. If you don't like Annihilation, because I won't say I loved it, but I like it enough to watch it because I liked it for what it was. It was decent. Was it as good as 1995 Mortal Kombat? No. But Annihilation still had its moments. But if you just want to watch, if you just want to say, I just like, hey, LilBigMan, Byron, I just want to watch 2 good Mortal Kombat movies, 1995 to 2021. Those are 2 good Mortal Kombat movies. Well, you could just say, okay, I don't have to watch Annihilation because I heard that movie was bad. You can watch these 2 movies and you'll be satisfied. With that being said, though, I have to do some type of comparison. And what I would say is that, having said all this, I've been waiting for a certain character to be in this movie for a long time. And finally getting him in a movie. Finally getting him in a live action movie. Seeing his powers in all his glory. He had one of the best fatalities in the game. I mean, not just in the game, but in the movie. You see how I try to clean it up. I meant to say movie, but I just didn't say game. But yeah, he had the best fatality in the movie. By far lived up to the exact copy of the game that he got it from. We know when you see the fatality, you're gonna know when I say it. You don't know when you see it, you're gonna come back and be like, okay, yeah, he said that. That fatality was pulled directly from MK9 and MKX, and that fatality is awesome. It's not, I can't say nothing else about it but the fact that it's awesome. That being said, this character, the way how it happened, this is just a personal one. The way how he was treated towards the end of it, what they did with him, I'm like, now he will never be in the sequels. But for me, that's a negative because I don't think he should have gotten that treatment. He should have been in the next ones. But now we get to the non-negative, the powers. Because I said the powers was a double edge. The powers, the way how you get the powers, the way how they explain the powers in the movie, make me just go. I was sitting there like, huh? Like, okay, I'm still with the movie. I'm still with you. I'm still liking it. But it's not natural no more. You know what I mean? You know where I'm going with this, with this symbolize. And that brings it to the dragon markings. They're connected with the powers. And I won't go into further why, but the way how they explain it is in connection with the markings. So the negative about that is, that if they're interconnected with the markets, you know what I'm trying to say. That means certain people, didn't have powers because they didn't have the markings, and the markings. And then on top of that, we get to see them train to get their powers. Okay, cool. So that let me just say this. That was a negative about the powers. This goes back to character. Remember, I say certain characters got it was a double edge. A particular character who didn't get their powers until late in the game because they had to get the tattoos, because the tattoo is transferable. So I forgot to mention that you can get the tattoo. You don't have to be born with like Cole. You can get the tattoo if you kill somebody with the tattoo. So, with that being said, a certain someone doesn't get powers until towards the end, and because they got the tattoo. And this certain someone, while we just went through this whole movie watching people struggle to unlock their powers, which I think is stupid. The fact that it wasn't just a natural thing. We struggle for them to activate their powers, and then this person just gets it, and then next scene, pew 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 pew. And if you want to know if you want to try to figure out who are you talking about, I just went pew 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 pew. There's only one person in Mortal Kombat that grabs their arm and pew 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 and shoots stuff. And no, when Jax does it, he goes pew like that with his arm. They grab their arm and shoot stuff. That person was so quick. The fact that this person didn't have a tattoo and they just rushed it, and that leads me to my next negative, which is negative number 3. Kung Lao character, the Kung Lao powers character. Wait, hold on. The other thing too about before I get into the next negative, because that's actually still number 3. Number 3 is actually was the powers, and certain people was under. Well, no, you know what? Yeah, powers was the third one. Next one is characters, and this leads me to the reason why I put it this way is because that same character development. And I remember I said that was a little bit of a double edge. Character development was kind of because this person who was one of the main characters, the mainstays of the game, when it came to get the person's powers, that person was rushed. And then you got people like Raiden, who was great, but it was underutilized and a little bit. Same song, great, was one of the great things about the movie, but at the same time it was bad because he felt like a side character. He's supposed to be the main villain. He felt like a side character because the movie was basically built to make Bihan the main character, the main villain, and that doesn't bode well for me. Let's see who else. Natara, Melina, Reiko, Reptile. All those characters were underutilized, and like I get it. And the explanation they set up was, I won't tell you who said it, but death doesn't mean the end for my warriors, and it's just another doorway to another opportunity or whatever he said. Okay, good. That brings me some hope, but I need this to happen for my next movies. For people like Natara, Melina, if you're gonna have people like Melina, Natara, especially Melina, because the way how they did her in Annihilation was horrible, and the way how you did her in this movie was better than that, but not too much. They like right here. That's horrible. She is horrible. Yeah. So People like Natari. Cabal was good. He was another person I thought was going to add to this list, but he actually turned out to be actually good. So he was solid. Yeah. So. Yeah, it was just hard to see that certain characters were just underutilized. Raiden, same song. Natara, Melina, Reiko. Reiko was the worst because everybody loves Reiko. We didn't even want to see him in the Mortal Kombat video game, and I don't like the way the Reiko didn't even have any speaking lines. He just he was just a big meathead. What? Come on, everybody knows Reiko is way more than that. So story. Let's get back to story. This is negative number. I think that was number 4. I was talking about the character utilization. Number 5 would be story. Now, a negative to me is that I mentioned this before. I didn't call it a double edge, but I forgot to call it a double edge. Was the story, the main story? How we talking about the tournament and stuff? That's a double edge because the tournament itself was it. I want to tell you why the tournament. But I just would say this. The way they go about the tournament, if you see the movie, you will see what I mean. Just know that I say this. The way how they treated the tournament was stupid. Everything, all those scenes that we saw, we thought was part of the tournament. That right there is to tell you why I said thought was part of the tournament. So that right there puts into the perspective that was a negative for me. Let's see, Guru, he's on the positive side, but he's also on the negative side. Guru was another person that was cool. He was more, unlike the Guru in the 1995, this Guru was more accurate to video game Guru. And I would say he looked more like Mortal Kombat X Guru. But the way he was spent on a certain character, and we see this in the trailers. You know what I mean? Remember the trailers and him jumping. That scene is a scene that made it a negative for me because of the character in that scene. He was if he would have fought somebody, he doesn't get. Guru needs to fight somebody from the games, and the person he fights in this movie, yeah. But yeah, what else I say? Scorpion was a major positive. I forgot to mention that too. Scorpion was a major positive. The negative was another negative. The final negative was the final scene, and who you fight at the final scene. Final part, last bit of the tournament, right? And you fight this particular person, and it wasn't even the person that supposed to be fight. The person that's supposed to go down at the end of the first tournament didn't even go down. But apparently, this was all part of the first tournament. This was they considered that was the negative right there. That's coming back to the tournament. Then again, they said the tournament has concluded. No, that was not the tournament. That was not the tournament at all. But yeah, the person though I'm glad that person was the end boss. It still made me kind of like when they said, okay, that was the end of this tournament. There will be another tournament. What? No. We didn't. That was it. That was it. No. So with that being said, what would I give this movie if from an old school person who saw the first 2 original Mortal Kombat movies up until now, been waiting for a new one? I would give this movie 7. No. Yeah, 7 big ups. Because anything higher than that would be untrue to me. I give it 7 big ups because while it's a good time, good popcorn eater, I'll watch it again. Would I say, you know what? Yeah, just 7 big ups. Hit this button for more of my reviews. Hit this button to subscribe. And hit any one of these videos for more amazing content. I'm out.